Let her go!
Linda! Where are you?
No! No! Help me!
When love meets danger, how far would you go to protect the one you cherish? This is the haunting story of Quang and Linda, a couple who thought their love was finally safe behind locked doors and security fences. Yet in the shadows, Linda's vengeful ex-husband was waiting, ready to strike when they least expected it. What begins as a peaceful night turns into a desperate race against time, a fight between love and obsession, between life and death. Don't forget to subscribe for more emotional, heart-pounding stories like this. And now, let's dive in. Quang had rebuilt their world from the ground up, not just with bricks and steel, but with love, patience, and quiet devotion. After the chaos of Linda's past, he knew safety wasn't a feeling easily earned. It had to be constructed, piece by piece, like a fortress around her heart. The house they shared stood on the edge of a quiet countryside, surrounded by tall pines that whispered in the wind. Every window was reinforced, every door double-locked. Cameras watched silently from the corners, and motion sensors blinked faintly in the dark. To anyone else, it might have seemed excessive, but to Quang, it was peace. He couldn't bear the thought of losing her again. Linda had suffered too much. The manipulation, the control, the fear that used to haunt her every night. Her ex-husband's cruelty had left invisible scars, and Quang had promised himself he would never let those shadows touch her again. Every evening, he would walk through the house, checking every latch, every lock, until Linda's gentle laughter would break his focus. "You're overdoing it again," she would tease softly, standing in the doorway with a cup of tea in her hands. He would smile, pretending not to notice the tremor in her voice, the same tremor that revealed she still carried fragments of fear within her. "Maybe," he would say, wrapping an arm around her shoulders, "but I'd rather be too careful than 1 second too late." And she would lean into him, feeling the warmth of his chest, the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, a sound that reminded her she was finally safe. Their days had begun to resemble a dream she once thought she'd never have. Mornings filled with sunlight and the smell of freshly brewed coffee. Afternoons tending to the garden together, planting flowers along the fence. Evenings spent watching movies, her head resting on his shoulder as he absent-mindedly stroked her hair. Slowly, Linda had begun to breathe again, to smile without fear, to sleep without nightmares. But sometimes in the quiet hours before dawn, Quang would wake to find her staring out the window, her face pale in the moonlight. "Just the wind," she'd whisper when he asked, forcing a smile. Yet deep down, both of them knew that the past rarely stays buried. Still, Quang refused to let fear rule their lives. He upgraded the alarms, installed new floodlights, and even taught Linda how to use the emergency code in case anything ever went wrong. Just in case, he told her, though neither wanted to admit that danger might still be out there, watching, waiting. To the world, they were a picture of peace. To each other, they were a promise that love could heal, protect, and rebuild. But in the stillness beyond their gates, something unseen stirred. A pair of eyes had never stopped watching, and soon, the safety Quang had so carefully built would be tested by the one man who refused to let Linda go. But the shadows never truly slept. Somewhere beyond the fences and cameras, danger still breathed, quiet, patient, and filled with vengeance. Linda's ex-husband had become a ghost in her life, one that refused to fade. Every failed attempt to reach her only deepened his obsession. He had lost her once, and in his twisted mind, That loss became a wound that demanded retribution. Nights after nights, he watched from afar, through the dark woods, across empty roads, tracing the flicker of lights from the house where Linda now lived safely in Quang's arms. He memorized her routines, the time she watered the garden, the moment she opened the window to let the morning air in, even the way she always forgot to close the curtain in the kitchen at night. Linda had no idea that someone was studying her life like a hunter studying its prey. She had begun to smile again, to laugh freely, and that happiness was precisely what enraged him most. To him, she wasn't supposed to move on. She wasn't supposed to be loved by another man. That evening, the rain came early. Quang had to drive out to handle an urgent call from the construction site. "I'll be back in an hour," he said, pressing a kiss on her forehead before stepping into the storm. Linda nodded, holding her cardigan tighter as thunder rolled through the sky. She checked the locks one more time, then curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone, unaware that outside, someone was waiting for that moment of stillness. The ex-husband moved like a shadow, slipping through the rain-soaked trees. He had been waiting for weeks, memorizing every pattern of Quang's movements, and tonight, fate had handed him the perfect chance. He disabled one of the cameras using a signal jammer, crept along the side wall, and found the one weakness Quang had overlooked, the narrow basement window behind the laundry room. Inside, Linda heard a faint noise, something metallic scraping against the floor. She frowned, muting the TV, and slowly rose from the couch. "Quang?" she called softly. No answer. The sound came again, closer now, heavier. Before she could reach for her phone, the lights flickered and died. Darkness swallowed the room. Her heart began to race. "Who's there?" she whispered, backing away. A silhouette appeared behind her. A hand covered her mouth before she could scream. The familiar scent of cologne, once comforting, now made her stomach turn. She struggled, kicking and clawing, but he was stronger. "Shh! Don't fight me, Linda," he hissed into her ear, voice trembling with rage and longing. "You were mine first." The world blurred as a cloth soaked in chloroform pressed against her face. Her knees gave way. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the rain beating against the window and her phone on the floor, glowing faintly with an incoming call. Quang calling. When Quang returned, the storm had grown fierce, thunder shaking the ground as if warning him of something unspeakable. His headlights cut through sheets of rain, and the instant he stepped out of the car, a chill crept down his spine. The gate stood ajar. That wasn't right. He had locked it before leaving. His pulse quickened. "Linda?" he called out, pushing through the door. The sight inside stole his breath. The living room was in disarray. The coffee table overturned, a broken vase glittering across the floor, and the curtains swaying wildly in the wind from the open window. The faint smell of chloroform hung in the air, sharp and haunting. On the floor lay Linda's phone, its cracked screen flickering with missed calls. Quang's heart pounded painfully as he picked it up. "No, no, no," he whispered, voice trembling. He rushed to the security room, fumbling with the system. The camera feed was still running, except for one screen that had gone completely black. "Damn it," he muttered. Then his breath caught. On another feed, blurred by rain and darkness, a figure was dragging Linda's limp body through the backyard toward the line of trees behind the house. Quang's eyes widened, fury igniting like fire in his veins. "You," he breathed, recognizing the silhouette instantly, Linda's ex-husband. Without thinking, he grabbed his flashlight and a crowbar from the garage. The rain lashed against him as he ran into the woods calling her name. "Linda! Linda!" His voice was nearly drowned by the storm, but he didn't stop. The mud sucked at his boots, branches tore at his arms, but his focus was unwavering. Every step was driven by fear and love. Then in the distance, he saw it, the faint beam of another flashlight flickering between the trees. He followed it, breath ragged, heart thundering. The forest grew darker, wilder, and then he heard it. A muffled sound, a weak cry. Quang! It was her voice. He pushed forward until he reached a clearing. There she was, tied to a post, soaked, her eyes wide with terror. Standing beside her was the man Quang had only seen once before, a face twisted by obsession, illuminated by lightning. "You shouldn't have come," the man snarled, tightening his grip on the knife in his hand. Quang didn't answer. The world narrowed to that one moment, the woman he loved and the man who wanted to destroy her. "Let her go," Quang said, his voice low, steady despite the trembling rage inside him. "Why?" he sneered. "She left me. She forgot me. You took her." A flash of lightning split the sky. Quang lunged forward and the storm exploded around them, rain, mud, and fury colliding. The fight was raw, desperate, every strike fueled by years of pain and love. When it was over, the man lay unconscious in the mud. Quang dropped to his knees beside Linda, cutting the ropes from her wrists. She collapsed into his arms, trembling. "You found me," she whispered weakly. "I'll always find you." And as the storm slowly quieted above them, the world seemed to breathe again, as if love itself had conquered the darkness one more time.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Lý Tử Ninja Review. Vậy là trong câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay thì Ninja lại tiếp tục bị chồng cũ của cô bắt cóc, và liệu rằng Quang có tìm được cô lần nữa hay không? Tất cả sẽ được hé lộ vào câu chuyện tiếp theo, sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh Lý Tử Ninja Review. Các bạn hãy bấm vào nút subscribe để đăng ký kênh, nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các tập phim sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh nha. Đặc biệt nếu thấy video hay hấp dẫn, hãy cho mình xin nút like, nút share và để comment ở dưới video nha. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.